Here we are,
Hello, hello,
APPE-TV Live.
oh, two of
Hello.
us talking. That never happens normally, does it? So listen, welcome to the live stream. Is this episode 7 or 8? I can't remember. I think it
It's
may
a
even
lot.
be 8. We're beginning to rack the numbers up. When we get to 10, we'll have a special celebration. So it's Wednesday, the 18th of September. Welcome to all of you, wherever you are in the world, from the west coast of the US, Hawaii, Australia, Italy. We've got people joining us from all over. And we also happen to have a rather special, very lovely guest, beardy guest, you see. Kyle, would you like to introduce our lovely, and get the pronunciation right?
Thanks for the reminder. I'm going to let Michael tell us his pronunciation, but I believe it's Kammes, right?
It's like Thomas with a K.
Kammes.
Kammes.
Michael Kammes, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate all your insight and all you do in LA with those meetings. And, you know, you're the go-to guy. Key Code Media just picked you up again, which is awesome. They're very lucky to have you as Director of Innovation. Michael, you've done so much. Do you even have a way to say it in 10 seconds?
I am Senior Director of Innovation, which means I can be in just about any meeting, whether it be C-suite or engineers, and people think I belong.
Well, that's good. That's good.
So like Kyle and me.
Like what?
Like Kyle and me.
Yes. But
We try to fit
he
in.
just turns on the camera and he's got that just photogenic face, and they're like, yeah, we need someone pretty here. So, I mean, Kyle can do that without needing a fancy title.
Oh, I thought you were talking about you. We're talking about you now, Michael.
So
Our show today is about story cutting quicker with AI, and it's a scary topic. You know, a lot of editors feel that we're losing jobs. Assistant editors certainly are impacted by AI story cutting. You know, here's the lowdown for our show today. It's the good AI versus bad AI, so useful versus non-useful. Michael is going to present all sorts of information about this stuff. It's cool. Job loss versus creative gain. There's a demo of Quickture. Now, Quickture is a software that allows you to do string outs. It identifies storylines. Michael's going to show you how it actually can improve our workflow, but it still requires the editor to drive that engine.
And it's one of many apps. Just in case you're wondering, it's one of.
Yes.
There are others out there, but we're going to be focusing on
and
that.
we're not flogging Quickture as a sales thing here. That's not how we roll. This is one of many. It's one of the top ones to use. John Knowles has been testing it, and he may join us a little later. We hope. He's in a meeting. So we'll also do a case study of an agency that went all AI and how it impacted their team. And that'll be coming up at the end of the show. So if you want to know how AI workflow has impacted a company and editors, this is the case study. And of course, member Q&A. But we want all your questions coming on.
Just in case you missed it, we are also going to be Michael's also going to be talking to us, and we have some chat about cutting socials out of the original cut and editor-driven AI story cutting with prompts. This isn't replacing the editor. Just up front, none of this is to replace you, the editor. You know, it's not. Watch what Michael has to say. Watch his presentation. Any questions you have, please do just jump into the chat. We'd be delighted to hear from you, and we will put them. If you want to jump into the show, jump in. Let us know. We'll be speaking to you soon. So
now we are sponsored. Just before we move on, sponsors, LucidLink, thank you very much for making this all possible. Digital Anarchy, thank you. We're here, able to do these shows because of your contributions, and we greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And we love
Michael.
Jim. We love Jim Tierney,
Jim,
just so you know.
Jim is
Gargana too. And Richard.
He's a lovely guy.
And Rupert. Oh, yeah. Good people.
Yeah.
Okay. So without further ado, let's move on to Michael. You have some stuff to show us about good versus bad AI, right?
I certainly do. And just please, as someone who was in the chair for many years, both doing audio where I started and then video, I understand there's pitchforks I understand there's for whatever reason, Keynote deciding to bottom out. So let's try that again. I understand you have pitchforks. I understand you have lit torches. I'm with you, and I'm here to show you that AI isn't a replacement tool. It is something for you to use to get your job done faster, because that's where things are going. It's being more efficient. So that's what I'm going to go over. I can take all your heated, barbed questions because this is something we've been doing for a bit here. So why don't we jump in? Because I think one of the main things we need to discuss is the kind of stresses you go through as a creative, as an editor. So I've put together a list of things. So right now, what I'd like you to do is just go into chat, and I want you to type the things that annoy you about editing. And I'll give you some things to kick it off. Is it because your production team is doing 100-to-1 shoot ratio? Is it because you're getting content in another language that you don't speak? Is it because initially you had to do a 16:9 edit and now you have to repurpose it for 9:16 and 1:1 and 4:5? So put those things in chat, and then I'm going to show you the things that I find when I give this presentation. I like to call this editor bingo, because these are the things that editors run into. And
you ready? I got to put it stage.
Can you?
There we are. Okay. Editor bingo. Love it.
So Kyle and everyone else on the call, you've run into these, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it better? Yeah.
Right. Someone's saying, well, we shot that. Is there a better take? Or production is running late, or maybe suddenly your boss, who just discovered this thing called TikTok, maybe we should put content on TikTok. Oh, maybe we need to do this for other languages as well, and that includes different captions. So all these things are tasks that
bingo. I filled out that card.
All of these things have been put on your plate, just like 30, 40 years ago when it was, well, you're a picture editor. And then it was, okay, you're a picture editor and an assistant. Okay, you're a picture editor and assistant, and you're doing some graphics. Okay, now you're a picture editor and your own assistant, and you're doing some graphics, and you need to do a little bit of audio. So this kind of continues the trend of more being put on the shoulders of creatives. And this is where kind of AI comes in.
Sorry, my bad.
So the question I get asked all the time is where does AI help me in terms of editing? And I know not all of you are working in the Hollywood market where there's 20 different or more versions of cuts, but we always have the basic lineup, right? We've got the assembly, we've got the radio edit, we've got the rough edit, the fine edit, the final, and sometimes this is condensed into 1 or 2 edits, but basically what it boils down to is we have a beginning, something that's a little bit more refined, and then we have whatever is signed off on, right? Because we're never really done with a project. We just hit a deadline. This is where AI is today. Assistive AI can assist you with a passable assembly. It can do a radio edit. And what I've noticed is that a lot of us who have gray in our beards are accustomed to the phrase radio edit. And the radio edit, for those who haven't run into it, is a radio edit. It are the story beats, the auditory beats of your story. And often you'll do a radio edit and then cover it with B-roll or graphics or talking heads. But the radio edit gets that auditory basis. That's where we are right now. And if your pitchforks are still down, that's great, because the main educational point I want to share today is that of the 30 plus types of AI, there's only 2 you really need to know about today. One is generative AI, and that's the boogeyman, right? That's what all the studios are concerned about. This is what every television show is worried about, because it is taking someone else's content, repackaging it, and saying this is new. That worries a lot of people for a lot of reasons.
Right, so
Sure.
May I ask?
Yes.
Are you saying that generative AI is bad AI and analytical AI is good AI?
Generative AI puts things into legal limbo. So you could construe that as bad. That's what studios say are bad. That's what artists say are bad. And I completely understand that, because often it is taking their IP, their work, their art, slapping that style on something else and saying, this is new and I can sell this. And that currently flies in the face of IP law, at least here in the United States. So by most people's account, it is bad. I wouldn't want my content being stolen. So I'm not a fan of this, but I also understand there will be a legal loophole for this to fly in the future.
So let's just cover that really quickly as well.
Yeah.
Let's just cover that off really quickly. Generative AI, the kind of generative AI we're talking about here, is that which generates from scratch new imagery, video imagery, which is then passed off as something as something owned by the person creating it, by the person generating it, when clearly it's been based on someone else's stuff. Other generative AI stuff is things like a generative extend, which is a brilliant tool, which just extends the end of the piece of footage where someone's just gone, la 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 la. Was that okay? And you want to get rid of them. Was that okay? And just give a couple of breaths in there so you can. So that kind of thing, generative AI workflow tools are great. Generative AI as a means of creating new content has issues that are still being resolved, not least of which is the IP stuff, which is big. So, Michael, does that make sense?
That makes complete sense. And what you're referring to is kind of a moral gray line, right? Because extending a shot for sake of story, okay, that serves in service of the story. The actor, hopefully, or the talent has agreed to it. But there's also the exact opposite, which is if you look at the right side of the screen, you had this happen a few months ago where someone else's style was being applied to other images, right? We have Homer Simpson there. We know who owns Homer Simpson. We know who owns The Simpsons. But if a website for $20 can generate content that looks like The Simpsons, is that legal? And that's what's currently being litigated in the court system.
And the truth is, no, probably not, and most countries would say no. So let's get past that now, because generative AI in most of the conversations I've had, most big production houses and or big clients, whether it's corporate or otherwise, are saying if it's generated AI, we're not really that interested because you can't guarantee me that we own it and we're not going to face some sort of comeback later. So it's just, it's not production ready yet. So you can do some really good things for TikTok. You can't necessarily use it for posts. For
broadcast and theatrical. Yeah. Now, one of the things that's come up is with Adobe's generative AI models have been approved by networks. There was a bit of a kerfuffle recently about the training that came up, but overall, it's Adobe has been really working hard to have content authenticity initiative driven generative AI that is approved for use on broadcast. A little different than the other models. At least they're trying.
By the way, we have Kristen wanting to join us. Kristen, one of our other admins for APPE.
Excellent.
Hi, Kristen.
Kristen!
Hi, guys. Good to see you.
Thanks for dropping in.
Yeah, this is a great topic. So thank you guys for covering this.
Ooh, you're here. It's you're dropping out. You're dropping frames there a lot. Sorry.
Oh, no. That's okay. I can catch the next one.
Okay, cool. Do you want to just throw some stuff in the chat? I noticed you already have. We'd love you to be on next time. Maybe come in with a wired signal, and it's great to see you. We want you to be part of this every week.
Yeah, thank you.
Where you can make hay today, where you can make money, where you can be an editor and utilize assistive AI technology is in the right side of the screen. That's analytical AI. And that's not generating new media, no new video, no new audio, no new images. Analytical AI takes what you give it and gives you information back about what was seen in the frame and what was heard in the frame. So let me give you a good example of this. One phrase I like to use is generative AI is new, right? New, quote unquote new, whereas analytical AI is a recap, right? So that's how I keep things straight. So here's what I want to bring up to everyone. I hope everyone in chat knows what this image is from. right? This is from one of the scariest movies of the time. This is from The Exorcist, and this is kind of an iconic poster. And I want to show you what analytical AI can do with this. Now, Gen AI would try and apply this to maybe your selfie outside, right? Analytical AI is going to give you something like this. And I know it's going to be small to see, so I'll zoom in. But you can see that I put this in a chat GPT and I said, tell me about this picture. And it says, hey, this architecture, it's a brick house with shutters indicative of U.S. coast, U.S. Yeah, that's where The Exorcist was shot. Symbolism and thematic interpretation, light versus darkness. So all of these things here are what AI has looked at the image and has said, this is what I can ascertain from this image. And you're probably thinking, well, why is that important? Well, let me show you why that's important. I'm going to jump to Premiere Pro. This is Premiere Pro 2025. And I'm using an application called Quickture. Quickture is just one of the most robust solutions out there. There's actually a ton of others out there. A lot of them are just website-based where you have to upload an EDL or XML or proxies. What Quickture does is, in this example, I have a 3 hour and 15 minute, and I'll zoom in, 3 hour, 15 minute Joe Rogan interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Now, I like Neil deGrasse Tyson, not a huge fan of Joe Rogan, and maybe I have this and I'm their social media person, and I decide I would like to cut this down for Instagram or YouTube Shorts. You can't do a 3 hour cut on YouTube Shorts, right? So what Quickture does, like other tools, is it will transcribe, it will then label and analyze the cut. So if I start from the beginning, well, we're short for time, so I've already pre-baked this. But if once this is run through Quickture, which runs inside Premiere or Media Composer, if I click Summary, I get a complete summary of this 3 hour, 15 minute interview. I've got the transcript, but more importantly, I've got story beats. This is what AI thinks is important in this transcript. And you'll see that if I hover my mouse over here, I get things like beat scores, emotion, humor, spiciness, story value, all the things that we intrinsically as creatives identify and realize this is something that I want to share with people. So once this is all done, I can then go down to the bottom here, and I have the ability to say auto edit, which means transcribe this like it already has and give me an edit, or I can say I want to guide this edit. I want you to edit this like a TikTok video. So for example, I'm going to go into the discuss button here, and I'm going to say, I want an edit that focuses, because I can't type. I'm a creative, not a linguist. I want an edit that focuses on scientific education. And I can click the discuss button, and AI will take a look at this and say, yeah, I think we can do a cut like this. All you have to do now is, once I respond with this, is to hit edit, and it will then edit it. So while that's going, I'm going to pause, open this up for questions. While this process.
Michael,
So
good time to pause there. Cosmos Post, if you have the original files on Riverside, it'll do something similar. We're talking about, I think we're jumping ahead to the
AI on Riverside. I
Quickture.
am disappointed with, which is why I use this locally. Also, the ability to use the raw Riverside not only has raw synced, but raw recording. And raw recording always has better audio and better video. So I bring both of those down and then do that in Quickture as opposed to trying to use the AI in Riverside.
Mm-hmm. So we had a question from, Richard Starkey. Is Quickture a paid plugin for Premiere Pro? But yes, it is. An editorial brand, $500 a month is expensive.
Two things I want to bring up. Again, I don't work for Quickture. I make no money on Quickture. I'm showing it because it's the tool that works today. There are other things like Hey Eddie, right? Hey Eddie is a very similar concept, but all of you in here use Premiere. How many of you want to bounce out of Premiere to a web page to work? Not many, right? You want to be in your flow state inside the NLE. If I have to export proxies and then upload those proxies in a web page, and then I have to wait for that to be processed, then download an XML or EDL or AAF, and then relink the content, you know what? I'm going to be less likely to use that because I want to be inside the application. There's always the also the notion of Quickture is the first to do this inside Premiere natively and Avid natively. Have no illusions. There will be other applications that are doing this as well.
So let me just deal with this and run it past you as well. So at $500 per month, who is the target market? We're not. I mean, we're sorry. Michael is using this to show what is going on in AI and in the market, and the tools that are available at the moment. This is not for everyone. It's certainly not for mum and pops. It's probably not for a lot of solo freelancers. It's expensive. But there are other tools. And the thing is, we know, we get involved in all sorts of discussions with all sorts of people. We know tools that are coming down the road that will allow you to do this kind of thing in the not too distant future. So we're using this as much as anything else to show you the kind of workflows that can happen and what it is that editors are going to be able to do moving forward. So this is just kind of a glimpse into the future. We happen to be using a very expensive tool to do this.
Well, and if I may, is it expensive? Is it really? $500 a month. That gives you the ability to cut string outs, to create the foundation for socials. It allows you the ability to identify story plot points. And Michael, let's focus on what this software can do. But let's just try to put this the dough side, the money side, to bed just for a bit.
Sure.
What I would say is that it would take, if you're working on a show and you wanted to do all those things, socials for 2 days work. Well, how much is an assistant editor for 2 days work? $500 a day. You're doing $500 a month. The turnaround's quicker. Yes. Is it a job killer? Certainly for assistant editors, it's going to impact it. To be honest, it's a bit scary for me. We're at the same time, it is great value if you're a content producer.
And here's a great example of that, Kyle. To your point, this is a podcast that I cut. AI didn't do it. This is a full podcast. This is an hour-long podcast. And you can see I've got a lot of cuts here because I'm a storyteller. And this was to be a storyteller. But you know what? I've told my story in 16:9. Now I just need a snippet for social. So I can either dish this to maybe another editor who's never looked at all of this or looked at the raw content, or what I can do is take this section here, put it into a sequence, and say, I want you to extract a edit. In fact, if I go here to my right-hand side, I've said in this, where is it? I want an edit for YouTube Shorts. Let me zoom in on this. I want an edit for YouTube Shorts, so under 3 minutes. Help me edit this by selecting the most important or thoughtful clip in this sequence.
And that's what you wrote.
That's what I wrote.
That's the prompt you wrote.
And this came back with, here's what I'd recommend. And then it gave me this sequence. It's a very simple sequence, but is it under 3 minutes? Yeah, it's 45 seconds. Does it have the jump cuts that YouTube Shorts kind of likes? Yes. So now I can go in here, listen to this.
Leaning into the narrative and the fiction, the sound design aspects of what we can do with that, with the immersive, is now something that's able to really trigger the imagination in ways we haven't been able to do that before. Now we're able to add little subtle.
So it is taking the sequence, it is going through the transcript and saying, this is a fluff phrase, this is not needed. The salient point is here. But is it doing the L cuts? Is it doing a J cut? Like I said, is it holding on that beat a little bit longer? No, it's just using the transcript to find what's the salient points. And, it doesn't take a futurist to see that if we've already cracked the audio analysis, video's not far behind, meaning being able to look at your sequence and realize what the visuals are in your sequence as well.
Quick question from Mannenberg. Sorry, Andrew. Quick question from Mannenberg. How does it do with, say, a trailer or a prologue, finding the strongest bites? So content identification.
Yes, if I go over to, again, I don't want to harp on Quickture, but if I go over to current transcript, we'll go back to the raw, it will pull out all the story beats it feels are important and then categorize them by values. Story
Can you zoom in, please?
Go ahead.
Can you zoom in? It's hard to. It would be great if you could zoom in.
Yeah, I've asked Adobe many times to increase the font size in the panels. It's on the roadmap. So
It's coming. It's coming.
So this, for example, it will tell me the emotion, the humor. It'll tell me the spiciness if it's for adult content. And then you can make the decision, yes, I want this included, or no, I don't. And then down here at the bottom, I can remove the low-ranked beats. And this, again, for people with more gray in their beard, I like to call this the generational button. This is where we can say, give me more jump cuts or give me less jump cuts. So, you know what I like to use this for? I am a procrastinator and I have a hard time getting started. So,
oh my God, that's exactly it.
Like, for example, this the other one I showed you with Joe Rogan, that's a 3.5-hour podcast. And I don't want to listen to Joe Rogan. I couldn't care less about Joe Rogan. But if I can say, look, go through here and find out the important points. Here's another example. I work with a client that does a lot of medical conferences, and they do the production and the cut down. They don't speak the medical jargon. They're editors. They're not, residents. So a lot of times it's, how do I make sure that I'm getting the right content? So being able to use AI to say, I think this is good, you then have at least a starting point to say, oh, okay, this is a place to start. And like any AI, trust but verify, right? But you have a starting point instead of saying, I got to go into this blind and just hope what I come out with is good.
So this is the point I was going to make earlier, which is most of what you're showing us, you'd actually edited together a timeline. You've got all the original footage. You'd done the edit yourself. So it's a complete edit, half an hour or an hour long or whatever. You were just using then these tools to create these additional resources, which normally would go to someone else. So it would be, the YouTube shorts, the TikToks, the whatever. All of these it was creating, and it didn't just create them and throw them out there without your being able to see them. You were still able to make your changes and just tidy up different parts of that edit as you went. So that's a really important point. It's not doing away with you as the editor. It's giving you, the editor, the opportunity to offer all these other services and get those out there quickly, which makes you more valuable. The other thing which is worth mentioning is we know we're undergoing a sea change in this industry, and what this does previously. An editor might have had, an edit supervisor. They might have had the director. They might have had all sorts of other people sitting with them. In the wider world, with YouTube and or with content creators creating a lot of stuff for those people, you're doing all of this yourself, and you can't afford to have those people on board. Necessarily have all of those people on board. So you're trying to do all this yourself. This allows you a way to actually generate this additional content. It doesn't stop you being valuable as an editor. It just means that your value to your clients or to your channel, it means you can work faster, smarter, get the stuff out the door, and continue to do what it is that you love.
What I
sorry, Mike. Go ahead, please. No, well, I was just going to say real quickly. They're different editors. There are editors that are, we've come from the job market to the gig market, to the content creation market. And as editors who have gone, I came from tape, man. When we went from tape to digital, from the video toaster, doing graphics and learning how to do macros to save time. I mean, I got hired for, I think, 2 or 3 days to do a bunch of macros for 500 stills. And I created a macro. Thank you, Andrew. I created a macro that instead of 30 keystrokes, it went down to 3. I billed for 3 days, but I did it in 1 day. So that was in the 90s. We're basically in the same situation here of tech disruption, radically more impactful on a large scale. But there's series editors, there's content editors that are doing their own thing, and then there's event editors, commercial editors. How does this all fit with them, Michael, for each one of these type of editors?
Well, as I think Editorial Brain pointed out, there definitely is a large language model in the background, which is why you can interact with, at least in Quickture, why you can interact in plain English. And the benefit of that is you don't have to know the exact parlance of what you're trying to do. you can type something in an emotional way or, an analytical way or an objective way. And so no matter how you edit or how you convey the message you're trying to get across, because tools like this have the LLM in front of it, you can communicate in the way you feel best to get the AI to generate the cut that you're looking for. So it does transcend kind of markets. So if it is being used for episodic versus a conference edit or a social media edit, it does kind of transcend those, shall we say, boundaries in terms of verticals.
And it's also worth mentioning there are tools. Just talking of Gen AI has just occurred to me in Adobe Premiere already. Things like the media search, which is using AI as the backbone. It allows you to search through all your media. You suddenly need some B-roll. You type the term red shoe or canoe or man wearing hat, and it will show you all of those. It will line them up, and you can drag them straight onto the timeline. So there are some great tools. What Michael's showing here is the next steps, and this is all good about what's happening, what's going to come next. Michael, would you like to where would you like to go next with this?
Well, I think we have this right here, black spot.
Yeah, one of the things that the questions that we always get asked, that I always get asked is, A, what do I have to learn? B is, am I going to lose my job, or how is my job going to be impacted? And the concern has always been that it's binary, right? I either have a job or I've lost it to AI. And what we found is that because we're still in the nascent stages of AI in media and entertainment, is that no one is being replaced. People are expected to do things faster. So just chew on that for a second. No one is being asked to resign or be fired or take less pay. It's, we need to generate more in the same amount of time. You'll still make what you're making, but you need to generate more in the same amount of time. And we actually have some tangible metrics on this. So this isn't just me waving my hands. Black Spot is a long-term agency in New York. Physical agency. It's not two dudes in a garage having a beer. This is an agency with a storefront and dozens of creatives, dozens of creators, dozens of clients. And they have outlined some examples. If you take a look at the QR code at the bottom right, scan that. It'll take you to a website that I'm not affiliated with that will give you the entire case study. But here are some examples. Black Spot, for one project, had 6 post creatives working for 8 weeks. Using going all AI, which included Quickture, they were able to move down to 3 creators for 4 weeks. Did they lay people off? Did people go on furlough? No. The owner of the company bid on twice as many jobs. And the thing I want to stress is, if there's a business owner out there who says, I don't want any more work, I'm happy with what I'm getting now, they're not a good business owner. Business owners want more work, and want more money. If they can bid on more projects with the same amount of person power, they're going to. Another example, episodic promos for a client. 6 promos, 6 recaps, 25 social pieces were done in 2 days. Now, obviously, not all 25 were perfect. Obviously, they must have created dozens, if not hundreds. Obviously, they had editors going in after the pieces were put together and massaging it, because AI still chops off words. AI still can have odd jump cuts. So there's still a creative going in there and saying, I need to make this better for our audience with my experience.
So we talked yesterday, we were talking about this, and I was about to relate a story which Kyle told me to shut up about, because he knows I blether on. But no, this is actually really relevant to this. This is really relevant to this. So I'll quickly do this. I had a client call me up yesterday. Not heard from them for a while. I've done video for them before. They are pharmaceutical. And they rang me up and said, look, we need to do a video. Can you help? And I said, yeah. And their take on it was, they'd looked at AI. They wanted my advice. Is AI going to get this done for us? And I said, no, not if you're just generating the whole thing, because it's the kind of stuff where you need to, you need some. They said, but can we use AI to speed up? I said, yeah, we can give you a whole bunch of additional assets really fast that will make this work. We can, there's a whole bunch of stuff here we can do, and we can also get it to you checked, all the text, everything done to you really fast, to so it gets signed off. That will speed things up. The truth is, what they really wanted was the assurance that someone they knew and trusted was going to work on it and deliver to them in a time frame, so that the budget they'd set aside for pushing this video and the money they were spending to actually make the points they wanted to, which is in the end about sales, it would happen because they trusted me to make sure it was delivered regardless. And I'm using quite a few AI tools as well, so it does have a real world impact. This is getting there, but you're not going to be losing your job. Someone else.
So, hey, Andrew, does your train of thought have a caboose? Andrew and I both razz each other about talking too much. We both are like that. We step on each other all the time and interrupt. And so when you watch the show, you're going to see us go head to head. We always do a virtual hug and love each other like big time, and we understand each other. So, to you, buddy. You were saying?
Yeah, sorry, I just realised when I'm talking, I'm thinking, so I'm looking down and away. So if you're waving at me madly going, Andrew, shut up, I'm not seeing it. So if I do ramble on, Kyle, just say, Andrew, shut up. And that's fine. That's fine.
I just want to hear Michael talk. So Richard Starkey, this is a great question. What we're going to do is come back to these questions in a bit. Because Michael's going to do his demo of the black spot and what an agency who went all AI is, and Michael, you're up.
I just have one more point to bring up on this slide, is that I would hope that a majority of you got into being editors because you were creatives. That's why I went to school for it. That's why I've done it most of my life. But just because you get to work in a field that allows you to be creative doesn't mean mundane stuff doesn't annoy the hell out of you, right? Remember the editor bingo? There were all these things, and I'm sure a lot of you were rolling your eyes. Look at the bottom point on the far right. For Black Spot, they had a network rebrand, 60 years of archival content, 1,300 hours. They had to deliver 30 to 40 promotional spots. You know what a majority of that was? Swapping out the logo of the network rebrand. Is that something you want to do? Okay, if you do, okay, great. But there are folks that would rather say, look, if I can automate that and make a quick buck because it's just industrial work at that point, so I could spend more time or out hunting for other clients, okay. So AI is what you want to use it for. It's not something that's going to come in and take your job. It's something that's going to allow you to do more, take on more jobs, and keep the same pay rate without you falling into an abyss of hopelessness.
I explain that is that paradigm of pick two, good, fast, cheap, is over. It's good, fast, and cheap, and damn, it hurts. It really hurts. I don't know if I want to work. I don't know if I want to work faster. I love taking time to craft story. The process, it's the journey.
So here's the thing. There have always been editors that are at the top of their game that are working on feature films, on drama. Because they're good, they have a way of telling a story that engages, and those people will never not be working because they're at the top of their game. They just never will not. And if that's your thing, you want to make your own stuff and you want to take your time, you can. But you need to, that's a choice you make. It is a choice you make. So I don't think it's disappearing. Kyle, I've seen the work you do. You're not going to lose any work anytime soon, mate.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of people out there who are, talented and been around for a while that are concerned about AI. Michael, why don't you what happened with the case study here? What happened to the company? How did they do it?
Oh, they're still kicking ass and taking names. You can look them up online. John is the president there, and they're still doing this. They've added more AI technology. They're also using something called Carol One, which is a fantastic piece of technology. If I had time, I'd show it to you today. But Black Spot is just one of the leaders. I like to think of it, and again, gray in my beard, when Final Cut came out, it was always in the back room of post facilities because you didn't want it in your edit suite. You didn't want the clients to see they were using Final Cut. That's kind of where AI is right now. It's used in the back room. But we will start to see it. I mean, if you think about all the NLEs, not just Adobe, right? You pointed out the media intelligence Adobe has and the text-based editing, but Resolve has it. Avid is lagging, but has some of it. Final Cut has some of it. So it's not going anywhere. And so it kind of falls on us to learn these tools. And I've put together a cheat sheet. So everyone just take a screen grab of this right here.
Oh, hang on. Add stage. There we are.
When you are looking to get AI, and I'll breeze through these so we can do question and answer. First thing, is it top down or bottom up? And what I mean by that is, if you're in a team of editors and each of you are using AI, each of you are using AI in a vacuum. Each of you are paying for an AI service. You're processing your own media, and that's really cost ineffective. So do you want something that is at the facility level, that everyone gets the same AI for the same project, so you're not doubling up efforts? Or is it bottom up where every editor is using their own AI? What was it trained on? Are you using ethically sourced AI? Adobe's AI is ethical. That's been cleansed. But just like the movie Seven, remember the movie Seven when it was, we can get names of people that go to the library and see who's checking out books that are questionable. I may not want to build a bomb, but I may be writing a paper on World War II warfare. I want to be able to tell that story without being censored. And so a lot of times the AI that you're using may be trained on media or things they didn't have access to, or it's been cleansed. So that's
I would say that, in our meetings with Adobe with regards to generative AI, and one of the limitations is if it detects that there's a bit of skin, or if it's kids in it or stuff like that, and it basically says, you can't do it. Sorry, not allowed. So my recommendation has been to treat it like drone operators, licensed drone operators that apply for a license to have extended access to the air. Maybe have to apply for a permit to do that. That gets approved. There needs to be some sort of license for people who are trusted operators versus the general public who are going to push it, to ways that other people don't want to see.
And the other approach is just simply that as an editor, you can start making those choices and say, I know I've got clean data for everything I've searched for on, say, Adobe, which is clean. And then for those shots which I need shots of children, I need shots of whatever, for whatever reason, I will go and find those separately. That's fine. Mm-hmm. You can still do that. That's still an option for you to go and do this stuff. It's just you can't generate it. So all options are still open. It's just that we know that the Adobe offering is clean.
You also want to ensure your media is staying sovereign, meaning you have control over it. Right now, there's lobbyists for the United States petitioning the United States government to relax IP laws a little bit. Mm-hmm. So your media may be scannable. Then there's companies, I believe, like Cloudflare, if I'm not mistaken, who has said, no, we won't let anyone ever use AI, third-party AI on our content without express written consent of the parties who are using Cloudflare. This next part, I get called a snob on a lot. What kind of AI is under the hood? If the AI that's being used is just someone else's AI, why am I using you? And also, if there's problems, how do I go to you to solve it when you're just white labeling someone else's AI?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. Yeah.
Sorry, what do you mean by, okay, here, let me get perspective on that.
Sure.
I use Perplexity. Perplexity is an incredible tool where I can choose which engine I want to use. I can, define how deep I want it to go, which large language model I would use, whether it's science, socials. I can refine my agentic AI prompts better than I can by just using ChatGPT as an engine only. That's where I find that's it.
But Perplexity isn't obscuring what the AI is, right?
Right.
It's telling you I'm using Opus or Sonnet or Claude, or I'm using ChatGPT.
Right.
It's transparent. It's when someone says, I'll sell you AI for $20 a month, and you find out that it's just feeding a custom prompt to ChatGPT. That to me is a little bit disingenuous.
Oh yeah. That's
so
bad.
tying those two things together is your media staying sovereign and what kind of AI is actually under the hood. Those two are related in that one of the big issues that companies are looking at the moment is how do you audit the authenticity of the assets you're getting. And it's not just saying, I have permission to use this. Will this AI company be around in 5 minutes' time, or will it disappear? Did it use some technologies that weren't approved? Did it scan some data that it shouldn't have done? How do you know? That authenticity is going to be a really big driver for how we use this stuff moving forward. I know it's something which has been concerning a lot of people. So essentially, use AI that you know follows the more, not morally, but legally correct ways of doing things. That's my suggestion. You, Michael?
Yes, ask the question. Don't just
always
assume. There are, I don't want to call anyone out, but there are technologies in our industry right now that I've been on calls where I've said, "What is your AI?" and they've said, "Well, that's proprietary." No, it doesn't. That doesn't work. That does not work, because if I'm editing someone else's content that I don't own, I'm on the hook because I have a contract with my client saying that it won't be trained, the data won't be trained on, right? So if I can't have that clarified, and a lot of AI companies will have a trust site which shows that they're SOC 2 compliant or GDPR or their TPN, any one of certifications, you have to ask the questions to make sure your butt isn't on the line.
Okay, so I'm hoping that we can move on because we don't have a lot of time. God, you have so much information and it goes too quickly.
Here are the last three very quickly. Does it work with your tools? I mentioned earlier that I love it when it works inside your NLE. If I have to bounce out of my NLE, that's no bueno. Who owns the outputs? If you use Gen AI and it generates an image or it generates a cut through Analytical AI, do you own all that, or does the company who makes the AI who generated it, do they own it? Lastly, is this
take a screenshot, everyone?
Yes.
This is the stuff that you want to take for sure when you're choosing an AI.
Is this on-prem or in the cloud? If it's in the cloud, you got to get a lot more security and a lot more answers to security questions. Also, you're paying per minute. If it's running on premises, meaning on your system, then most likely it's an all-you-can-eat if it's doing all the processing on your computer.
So think of Topaz. Cool. That's a really good example of exactly that, where you can choose to do it on your system or locally in your premises, or you can go to the cloud. Okay, that's really good stuff. So where are we now? There's
some questions that want to throw up. Richard had one. Now, basically, it was about Quickture. We only have about 12 minutes left, and I know that I wanted to get into the innovation section that we talked about, which is awesome.
Do that another week.
So, well, yeah, I think we could hit it pretty quick. But
maybe
so
we'll
let's
do special features, and I can do a demo of AI tools for just APP folks.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, let's do that.
Great. Yeah.
Okay, so let's hit the questions. One from Richard.
Yes, we are obviously limited on time. I'm not here to push Quickture, but I do have the direct line to a good time. So if you need an eval, hit me up. I can connect the dots and you can work on that. And you can give it a shot.
There's Michael's website. Can go check in with him. One of them,
yes.
Okay, so and then there was that follow-up question with regards to who was it? The brain. Here we are. Transcript awareness, not visual interpretations, dialogue, nonverbal action. So
what I can say is that I've showed you what ships on Thursday, September 18th, what ships on Friday, September 19th, or next week. Could include other features that are not just audio-based. We'll leave it at that. Cool?
IBC, man. IBC. And we've got Adobe Max coming up.
Yeah, and there is stuff coming. There's already stuff coming. We know. I'm not going to go into any details because NDAs and stuff. Yeah, visual interpretation and visual recognition already part of that. It's coming. Yeah, it's coming.
Okay. Does Quickture use your data? Great question, Mendenberg Films.
Nope. In fact, I won't bring up a web page, but Quickture has a security website. I think it's security dot. Actually,
put it in the chat.
If you want to, I'll put it in chat. Too many windows. Too many windows. Join the chat. I got to connect.
You don't have to. You can put it in the comments. You can put it anywhere, or we'll just follow it up.
Okay. Yeah. If you all want to go to this website, you can go to trust.quickture.com.
It's quickture.com, and let me just.
And you get all their security compliances, all of that, because as someone else pointed out in chat, you have your own client, and you have to go to your client and say, "I want to use AI," and hopefully they'll just say, "Yeah, go ahead," but they may say, "Why?" And that's when you have to say, "Well, it's for analytical use, not Gen AI use." Nothing is being trained in your content, et cetera, et cetera. That's what Blackspot had to do. They had to go to every one of their clients and get sign off, and they lost some because clients said, "I don't want AI." But the ones that stuck with it have, like I said, just increased their business.
And just to cover that off, we have our sponsors, LucidLink and Digital Anarchy. LucidLink particularly, they do a whole thing with hosting stuff in the cloud. So you can upload stuff there, share it with your team, edit live on, edit with it. The thing is, they have a system. Part of what they were thinking of right from the beginning was zero knowledge. They do not have any knowledge of the data that they're hosting for you, that they're storing. They can't see it. They can't touch it. That is a smart move by everyone that's doing this. And in fact, Adobe do that. All the really responsible companies that are handling your data in the cloud are doing it on a zero knowledge or immediately delete, never see, don't train on it basis. So we know that LucidLink, thank you, by the way, for being our sponsor, and also Digital Anarchy are getting into some of the same kind of stuff where they're using AI. They're not doing stuff where they grab your data and use it any other way. This is all responsibly sourced and responsibly used.
I threw up the Quickture Trust Center. That was awesome. Great find there, Michael. What would you like to address of all the things that you get when you're out there presenting? You get beat up pretty good, eh? By editors.
I got to watch my back. Yeah. What I find is that many people are excited about it, but they excited about AI, but they're concerned about how they may be perceived because they may be influencing folks to think that AI is going to take their jobs. If AI is going to take your job, you were never going to get the job to begin with. It's that kind of low budget kind of, I need someone for my TikTok reels. I mean, that was going to happen. But professional editors who get hired to craft a story, AI will help you do that quicker so you can bid or work on more jobs. Period. End of story.
And by the way, we're going to have some guests on. I met a bunch of people in Amsterdam at the Adobe event there last week, just before IBC. And we certainly had 3 people there who were using AI workflows to do stuff, generative AI workflows to do stuff that isn't going to be taking away jobs, but they've carved out a niche all to themselves. We're going to have them on so they can show us what they're doing, how they're doing it, and why, because that's all stuff which we need to know about, because guess what? We can employ these people as well.
Yeah, there was Sergio Miranda I had a meeting with recently because I'd posted about let me start again. I posted in our forum. I'm thinking about using AI to help generate a story cut. An incredible number of responses hating me for even asking the question. What are you doing? Don't you want to be an editor? Like, don't let the machine do it for you. And, I really do appreciate that. And at the same time, so Sergio Miranda reached out. We had a great meeting, and he showed me some apps that would help with pitches for clients, identifying a client, identifying the people within there, the interests of the CEOs, and then having that become part of the pitch, the reducing logistics time.
Cordo.ai. Check it out. And it's all about if you give it what story you want to tell, and it says, well, here's an underrepresented demographic that would work well in this. It would resonate well with these folks. Overseas, this would play during this demographic. It would work best to release at this time of the year. You're completely right, Kyle. And sites like Cordo are doing that to help you maximize the financial impact of the story you're putting together. It's no longer just about story; it's about how it resonates and makes money at the box office.
The other thing
So
is,
how do you spell that? Sorry. What's Cordo.ai? I was trying to find it.
CORTO.ai.
Thank you. Sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
So, regarding scripting and scripting stories, here's the thing. Most everyone here, I've just looked around the studio. I've not found a tablet made of mud and a stick in which I'm writing cuneiform to remember stuff here, right? You know, I moved from that to ink and paper, and then from that to a screen, and I'm typing. And from that, you know, now we're doing voice. You know, we all move on. We all move on and use the tools that are available to us. Do I want AI to write my story for me, to come up with the ideas? No, and it can't. It's not got my lived experience. The things that interest me, and the way I want to tell a story is entirely unique to me. But I may use AI to help me sort out and reduce down the word count and just make it a little simpler, you know, which is something I do anyway. You know, I tend to write bullets and then stream of consciousness and then edit it down. AI helps me do that a lot faster.
Yeah.
Already.
I find you know, for me, I want to have my transcripts from meetings now and my emails sorted. And, you know, it's a bit overwhelming to have all this technology. You know, it's a bit of catch up. So many people are using it. And, you know, I'm not young. I got to tell you, though, if I were 18 years old and generative AI was available to me for text prompts, I mean, when we start, and our imagination is just explosive.
So
there's no limit to it, and it's just amazing.
The cautionary part of this tale is this, and it is worth knowing. There have been lots of studies done where, if all you're doing, I know people working in offices who will, you know, their boss will say, "I need a report done. I need to do a presentation by lunchtime. Can you do this? You got an hour?" And they'll use generative AI. They'll use ChatGPT to put in the data, and it will generate a report. Those people, if you ask them later that day or that week or next month exactly what was in that report, give a summary of it, they can't. Because they've not been involved in actually creating it. They've not hardwired that information into their brain. So the thing you have to watch for, and the thing that makes us uniquely human, is we can retain this information. It becomes part of everything we know, and we can make those connections and give it context. That's what we do as editors. That's how we tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, don't expect AI to take everything over, because it can't.
Yeah, it's true.
Coach, you bring up a good point, but I think we can also look at audio as kind of like the bellwether of how things go. Because remember, we hit 192, right? 192K, what, 25?
Yeah, why did we do that?
Because more is better. But what I'm getting at is
nonsense. But yes, I know what you mean.
What I'm getting at is Pro Tools democratized the whole music creation and sound editing realm. And were there people who dropped their rates? Yes. But are there still sound editors today? Yes. Right. And they're still making decent wages. There's always going to be, the bell curve. But what I'm saying is we've seen this happen before in a sister industry, and the industry is still endured.
Yeah, I come from an audio background, so I recognize that. And I wouldn't say that Pro Tools necessarily democratized. Certainly Doors, Steinberg, Wavelab, all of those things, they, various different Doors. And the same with NLEs. There's a lot of them out there. They certainly democratized it. There's and the good, those that are good at this stuff, regardless of whatever your field is, you will find work because people will trust you.
I just want to say before we wrap out of here, we're hitting the top of the hour. I wanted to give a shout out to our sponsors, Lucid Link, and there we are, Lucid Link. There we are. Please check it out. It's awesome. They, if you want your assets somewhere safe in the cloud and easy for everybody around the world to cut on, Lucid Link's awesome. There's more to it than that, obviously. And Digital Anarchy, Jim Cherney, incredible software. This is Cosmo, Beauty Box rather. And, great software across the board. Flicker Free is awesome.
Free is
That's the ticket right
astonishing.
there. Look at that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So that's our sponsors. Michael, let's talk about what you've got going on just on our way out, because, you have definitely, you've got your, here, let me get rid of that. Remove. There we are. You have a few initiatives going on, 5 things, more than 5 things, but you try to keep it down to 5. Is that right?
5thingsseries.com. It's a little long in the tooth because I've been preoccupied, but it is where I create what we call video podcasts now. We used to call them webisodes, where I demystify technology in the media creation space, usually focused around post-production. And I go through, I go beyond the marketing BS. So what is it? How much does it cost? What does it do? Does it work? Etc. If you're going to NAB New York, I'll be there as well. I'm also doing the keynote speech at the AV Expo in Denver in November. You could also check me out at michaelkammes.com and at Michael Kammes on all the socials.
And just so you know, Michael has been an advisor and a consultant to so many industry professionals and industry bodies and production houses who have sought his input in helping them work out the wheat from the chaff when it comes to technical workflows and how best to achieve what they need to. He's a genius. If you need to talk to someone about this stuff, him.
Yeah. And, Michael, your willingness to give knowledge for free.
Thank you.
My brother, thank you for all the generosity.
It really does.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible how much you give for free to people to enable them and empower them. And it's all my life, I've trained editors, and I always thought there's always going to be more work. It's okay to share the knowledge. And what's great is when you have people that come back to you that you've enabled when they were younger and share back with you when you have a challenge and they help solve it with you. That's the most beautiful moment. Are you going to Adobe Max?
One of my mentors once said, the greats give back. And I've always, even before, when I was still a lowly sound editor, I've always held that. So if I can bestow that, then great. Adobe Max, I don't know yet.
Oh, maybe. Come on. It's going to be a great lineup. Yeah. I'm going to be there working at the booth. It'll be fun. We'll see how it goes. We're reporting back. We'll put some videos together and share. I guess that's it.
So what we've learned today is we know that technology advances, roles evolve. People that don't evolve with the technology and the roles may have to reconsider what they're doing, and those that do, the opportunities are numerous and many. Thank you so much for your time, Michael. I think you said you'd be happy to come back on at some point. Is that right?
I'd love to.
Today?
Absolutely love to.
We'd love to have you back on. Thank you to everyone in the post, to Richard, to Mannenberg Films, Editorial Brain, Cosmos, and to Kristen, who tried to come in, and we'll get her in for the next show.
She had her baby on her knee and was trying to. She had a hardline in, the proper feed. And Michael, you were fully on presenting and about AI, and I was like, AI, human eye. That.
It's good to have Kristen in our group, and she's a brilliant admin. So we will have her in next time. I hope. Thank you all for watching. It's been great to have you, Michael. Kyle, do the sign off.
See you later. Thursdays, 10 o'clock. Bye.